An old woman was humiliated by arrogant customers. She bought the entire store and fired everyone. Never laugh at an old woman in simple clothes and slow steps, for you don't know if you're mocking someone who can buy not just the store where you work, but the entire building and the whole street. Someone who with a single phone call can transform your day of petty amusement into your last day of work. Stick around until the end and don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Maggie Thompson walked the busy streets of Manhattan with small, careful steps. At 78 years old, her body carried the weight of decades of hard work and experiences that had carved deep lines of wisdom on her face. She wore a weathered wool coat, not out of financial necessity, but out of sentimental attachment. It had been a gift from her late husband Harold decades ago. Her gray hair was tied in a simple bun, and her hands, marked by time, held a worn leather purse. On that October morning, Maggie had decided to visit the Sophisticated Elegance boutique, located on Fifth Avenue. It was a renowned establishment, frequented by New York's elite, where each piece cost more than many earned in a month. Maggie, however, was not intimidated by luxurious environments. There was something in her serene gaze that denoted a silent confidence. Chapter 2: The Temple of Vanity. The Elegance Boutique wasn't just a store, it was an institution. With its crystal chandeliers, Persian carpets, and impeccably dressed salespeople, the place exuded exclusivity. Customers were greeted with glasses of Schenken personalized attention, as long as they appeared worthy of such treatment. When Maggie crossed the elegant doors of the establishment, the environment momentarily froze. The salespeople exchanged discreet glances, and the customers, corporate executives, socialites, and celebrities cast looks of estrangement and disdain. An elderly lady dressed simply clearly didn't belong in that sanctuary of opulence. Daniel Reynolds, the store manager, a 40-year-old man with an Italian suit and impeccable posture, approached with a rehearsed smile that didn't reach his cold eyes. "May I help you, ma'am? Perhaps you're looking for another establishment." Chapter 3: Calculated Humiliation. "I'm looking for a dress for my granddaughter's birthday," Maggie replied with a calm and polite voice. Daniel let out a contained laugh, looking at his assistant, Victoria Sinclair, who was approaching with a similar expression of superiority. "Ma'am, I'm afraid our products are a little beyond your budget," said Victoria, an elegant 30-year-old woman with perfectly arranged hair and flawless makeup. "Perhaps a department store would be more suitable for your profile." Maggie, however, maintained her dignity intact. "I would like to see that blue dress in the window, please." The dress in question, a stunning model of French silk with Italian lace details, cost $8,000. Daniel and Victoria exchanged mocking glances. "Of course," Daniel replied with false cordiality. "Victoria, show the lady the celestial azure dress. I'm sure it will be an educational experience." Chapter 4: The Circus of the Privileged. As Victoria led Maggie to the dress, other customers in the store began to notice the situation, some smiling maliciously, others pretending disinterest, but all, without exception, delighting in the spectacle of subtle humiliation that was unfolding. This is the Celestial Azure model, an exclusive creation by the renowned French designer Jean-Pierre Lamour. Victoria explained in a condescending tone. "The fabric is pure mulberry silk, imported, and the details are made with Burano lace. The price is $8,000. Victoria emphasized the value, expecting to see shock on the elderly woman's face. Instead, Maggie merely nodded, carefully examining the finish of the dress with critical and knowledgeable eyes. "The finish is a bit imprecise on the side seams," Maggie observed, her voice soft but firm. "And the lace appears to be commercial Burano, not artisanal as suggested." Victoria blushed with indignation. With all due respect, ma'am, I doubt you have enough knowledge to make such an assessment. Chapter 5. The Growing Crowd. The exchange attracted the attention of more customers. Among them was Sophia Winters, a socialite known for her sharp tongue and constant presence in social columns. "Daniel, darling," Sophia called loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Are you offering guided tours for tourists now? How charming." Discreet laughter echoed through the hall, and Daniel hurried towards Sophia with an obsequious smile. "Just a misunderstanding, Mrs. Winters. We're resolving the situation." Maggie remained impassive in the face of public humiliation, but an attentive observer would notice the slight stiffening of her shoulders and the determined gleam in her blue eyes. "I would like to try on the dress," she said firmly. Victoria laughed openly. "Ma'am, I don't think we have your size. Besides, this dress requires a security deposit to be tried on." Chapter 6. Distilled Venom. The malicious comments continued as Maggie persisted in examining other pieces in the store. With each minute, it became more evident that the employees were having fun at her expense. "Perhaps the lady would like to see our scarves," suggested Daniel with barely disguised sarcasm. "We have some for just $300. They're the most accessible items in our collection. Or maybe a catalog to take home," added Victoria. To dream a little. Sophia Winters, now accompanied by two equally elegant and ruthless friends, watched the scene with perverse delight. "It's so touching to see middle-class dreams," she commented, loud enough to be heard. "It reminds me of that movie. What was it called? Ah, yes, Pretty Woman. Except that here there's no Prince Charming to save the day." The laughter that followed was like needles, precise and painful. Chapter 7. The Patience of Job. For a full hour, Maggie endured the degrading treatment with a dignity that contrasted drastically with the petty behavior of those around her. She examined various pieces, asked pertinent questions about fabrics and finishes, and ignored the disdainful looks. At one point, accidentally, or perhaps not so much, one of the salespeople spilled a cup of coffee near her shoes, slightly staining her skirt. The apologies were superficial and insincere. "Oh, sorry. I hope I haven't ruined your outfit," said the young salesperson, barely containing his laughter. Maggie simply cleaned the stain with a handkerchief she took from her purse, showing no disturbance. "Don't worry, young man. Accidents happen," she responded with genuine kindness, which seemed to momentarily disconcert the employee. Chapter 8. The Lesson Not Learned. After a few more humiliating interactions, Daniel Reynolds decided it was time to end that visit. He approached Maggie with a firm expression. "Ma'am, we have a privacy and exclusivity policy for our regular customers. I believe you've been offered sufficient assistance, and it's clear that our products are not compatible with your possibilities. May I direct you to the exit?" His eyes showed not only disdain but a cruel satisfaction for exercising his small power. Victoria, at his side, smiled with contained malice. "Actually," Maggie replied in a calm voice, "I would like to speak with the owner of the store." Daniel laughed openly. "The owner is Elegance Holdings International, ma'am. The CEO is in Paris at this moment. Perhaps you'd like to leave a message." More discreet laughter echoed through the store. Chapter 9. The Table Turn. Maggie then opened her worn purse and took out a state-of-the-art cell phone, a surprising contrast to her simple appearance. She dialed a number and waited, while those present observed with disdainful curiosity. "Thomas, it's me, Maggie. I'm at the Elegance Boutique on Fifth Avenue," she said, her voice suddenly acquiring a tone of authority that made Daniel frown. "Yes, that one." No, the experience was not satisfactory. In fact, it was quite enlightening. "Yes, proceed as discussed." "Immediately, please." She hung up and put the phone away, looking directly at Daniel with an unsettling serenity. I suggest you check your corporate email, Mr. Reynolds. You should receive an important notification in the next few minutes. Chapter 10, The Revelation. Daniel's smile faltered when his own phone vibrated in his pocket. When checking the screen, his face visibly paled. He looked at Maggie with a new expression of shock and disbelief. This can't be. Who are you? Maggie smiled for the first time since entering the store. A gentle smile, but one that carried an undeniable strength. Margaret Elizabeth Thompson, board chairwoman of Thompson Global Investments, your new employer, apparently. A sepulchral silence took over the boutique. Victoria, who had approached to see what was happening, looked about to faint. The customers, previously so entertained by Maggie's humiliation, now watched the scene with astonishment. Chapter 11, The Falling Mask. What? Stuttered Daniel, his face alternating between pallor and redness. Thompson Global has just acquired Elegance Holdings International in a surprise purchase, explained Maggie with tranquility. The negotiation was concluded exactly 2 minutes ago. I could have introduced myself from the beginning, of course, but I preferred to observe how you treat ordinary people. It was revealing. Victoria leaned on a nearby counter, her legs weakening. But you look so ordinary, completed Maggie. Simple, poor. What adjectives would you use behind my back? I heard some whispered as I walked through the store. Quite creative, I must admit. Sophia Winters, the socialite who had previously openly mocked Maggie, was now trying to discreetly move away toward the exit. Maggie, noticing the movement, addressed her. Mrs. Winters, isn't it? I believe our paths have crossed before. Your husband tried to obtain financing from Thompson Global last year. Interesting how small the world is. Chapter 12, The Final Judgment. Thomas Berkeley, the corporate lawyer for Thompson Global Investments, entered the store accompanied by 2 assistants. He was a tall and distinguished man in his 60s, carrying a genuine leather briefcase. Mrs. Thompson, the documents are ready for your signature, he announced, completely ignoring the stunned employees. Thank you, Thomas, replied Maggie, accepting a Mont Blanc pen he offered. Please distribute the memoranda. Thomas's assistants began to hand out sealed envelopes to each store employee. Daniel, with trembling hands, opened his. This is a termination letter, he asked, incredulous. With immediate effect, confirmed Maggie, her voice firm but not vindictive. All employees present today are being dismissed. The compensation is generous, 3 times what is required by law. I'm not cruel, Mr. Reynolds, just fair. Chapter 13, The New Order. As the employees absorbed the shock, Maggie continued explaining her intentions with impressive calm. Elegance will be completely redesigned. We'll maintain the name and quality of the products, but the philosophy of service will change radically. Exclusivity doesn't need to mean elitism. Luxury doesn't need to come with cruelty. Thomas Berkeley nodded in agreement, distributing more documents. These are the guidelines for the new management, he explained. Mrs. Thompson has already selected a new team who will take over tomorrow. The establishment will remain closed for a week for retraining. Victoria, still in a state of shock, murmured, "But how? Elegance Holdings wasn't for sale." "All companies are for sale at the right price," Maggie simply replied. "And my offer was quite generous." The board voted unanimously in favor of the acquisition this morning. Chapter 14, The Encounter with Truth. Daniel Reynolds, partially recovering his composure, stepped forward. "Mrs. Thompson, I recognize that our behavior was inappropriate, but firing the entire team seems an extreme reaction. We can learn from this mistake." Maggie stared at him with eyes that had witnessed decades of power games and false contritions. "Mr. Reynolds, this wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate pattern of behavior. During the hour I spent here, I observed how you and your team treated 3 other customers who didn't seem suitable to your standards. A young black woman was practically ignored, a gentleman in a wheelchair was directed only to the accessories section, and a couple of Asian tourists received incorrect information about prices. Victoria paled even more, realizing that her routine actions had been meticulously observed. This isn't about personal revenge, continued Maggie. It's about transforming a toxic environment, and sometimes, to heal an infection, it's necessary to remove the compromised tissue. Chapter 15, The Silent Legacy. A week later, the Elegance Boutique reopened its doors under new management. The interior remained elegant, but something fundamental had changed. The new employees, carefully selected for their competence and genuine empathy, received all customers with the same level of respect and attention, regardless of their appearance or apparent purchasing power. Maggie Thompson rarely visited the store personally, preferring to leave daily management to capable professionals. However, her philosophy permeated every aspect of the business. A discreet frame was installed near the entrance, with a simple phrase engraved in golden letters: "True elegance begins with character." Daniel Reynolds and Victoria Sinclair, despite their unquestionable professional skills, discovered that their reputations preceded them in the select world of luxury retail. None of the major houses was willing to hire them after the incident. Eventually, both found positions in smaller establishments, where humility became a daily lesson. As for Sophia Winters, her husband finally got the financing needed to save his struggling business, granted by Thompson Global Investments itself, under conditions that included substantial donations to diversity and inclusion programs. In her apartment overlooking Central Park, Maggie Thompson sat in her favorite armchair, still wearing the old wool coat that meant so much to her. Her granddaughter, a brilliant 22-year-old, recently graduated in business administration, observed her with admiration. "Grandma, everyone is talking about the transformation of elegance. It's the talk of the industry." Maggie smiled serenely as she savored her tea. "True wealth, my dear, is not in what we possess, but in how we choose to use what we have. Power without purpose is empty, and respect cannot be bought. It must be granted to all, regardless of titles or appearances." The young woman nodded, absorbing the wisdom of one who had built an empire not only of material wealth but of unwavering principles. The setting sun cast a golden light over Manhattan, illuminating the skyscrapers like silent sentinels of countless human stories, some of arrogance and fall, others of humility and elevation. And in her worn coat, with her time-marked hands and her unwavering heart, Maggie Thompson represented a silent reminder that true dignity never needs to announce its presence. It simply is. If you've come this far and this story has touched your heart, I invite you to keep this faith alive with us by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any stories that touch the soul. And if this story has moved you, give it a like so we can continue sharing more stories like this one, made with all our hearts. Until next time.